Hi everyone, today I'm showing you how to make these wonderful balloon flowers and turn them into a fabulous display. Hi, I'm Melanie from Balloon Artworks here in Derbyshire in the UK. You're going to need 11 or 12 inch balloons. I'm using 11 inch. Inflate to 7 inches and then just press these against yourself or on the table just to round the shape of the balloon off. And then take the necks and nozzles and just wrap those necks over one another. Take one nozzle, wrap it around a couple of times and tie the necks together, okay? That forms a duplicate. Make another one of these. Take one of your duplicates and a single balloon. Take hold of one of the necks from your duplicate, wrap the neck of the single balloon in. I've not tied this single balloon yet. So wrap that neck in from the single balloon, wrap it around a couple of times and then tie the necks together. Okay, so that forms a cluster of 3. Take your cluster of 3 and your duplicate and place them together. So just place them together in the centre here and then wrap them around a few times. So your balloons are all connected together. Next, take 5 5-inch round balloons. I'm using yellow. Inflate to 3.5 inches. Press those against yourself or on the table. Wrap the necks over one another. Wrap one of the necks around twice and tie. Okay? And make another one of these. Take a single balloon. I haven't tied this one yet. And take one of the necks on your duplicate, take the untied balloon, wrap that neck round a couple of times and then tie the 2 necks together. Okay, so another cluster of 3. Take your duplicate and connect together and just wrap all those balloons around so you're connecting the cluster of 3 and that duplicate together. Okay, so don't worry about it being all jumbled up at the moment. Inflate another 5-inch round. I'm using white and I've inflated to about 4.5 inches or so. I'm just going to downsize this balloon. I'm not too worried about measuring the size, but I would say that's about 3.5 to 4 inches, probably about 4 inches, and then tie that in a knot. Okay, take your cluster of 5 and your white balloon and pull that into the centre of that cluster and wrap the neck around in what we call a figure of 8 motion. Okay, so this is going to be the centre of our flower. Take a 5-inch round balloon and fully inflate to 5 inches. Then let quite a bit of air out. Okay, so you're going to, this requires a judgment call. So we've not tied this yet. But we want this balloon to be quite flexible. So what I'm doing, I'm pushing the air into the neck and then I'm holding on to the nozzle and neck and pushing, trying to push through into the base. I can't quite reach at the moment, so that tells me I need to let a little bit more air out. So the balloon isn't quite soft enough to allow me to do what I want to do. So now I can feel that I can push this neck and nozzle through to the base. Take a 260 and tie that 260 directly into the knot that you're making there. Okay, you're going to need half a 160. So take your white balloon, take your 5-inch round balloon and your index finger, put your index finger on top of the nozzle and push that through into the base here. And then when you can feel that knot and nozzle, just grab hold of it. So I'm holding on to that and then I'm just going to make a twist here and take your 160, wrap around the knots that you're holding on to and then tie these 2 ends into a knot. And then once you've tied one knot, just tie a second knot. That will keep everything nice and secure. Okay, so that's what you've got. Next, take hold of your 5-inch round balloons and grab hold of one of the necks at the centre. Take your other cluster of 5 and position that cluster of 5 on the top of your patterned cluster and pull that neck through into those 5-inch rounds. And what you're wanting to do, you're wanting to position these smaller balloons so that they are in between the gap in the larger balloons, okay? So take hold of that neck and wrap it around a few times, okay? So again, that figure of 8 motion, we're just wrapping around the cluster of 5 yellow balloons. And then when we run out of neck, we can just let go. And that's going to connect everything together, okay? What you'll find is that left like this flower has a tendency to distort, and these balloons will want to fall backwards. So this is where our other balloon comes in. So take hold of this balloon, take hold of the 160 tails and pull those tails through into the centre and just wrap around those large balloons. Again, in a figure of 8, and just let go of the tails. Do that with both tails from the 160. Okay, and then we can position everything. Okay, so that balloon is just going to stop these larger balloons collapsing backwards. I'm going to attach my flowers to this framework, and this would be a very similar situation to if you were creating fence art or yard art and wanting to attach these flowers to a fence outside. So this is why it's quite important to make this area as I have done. You can, if you wanted to, mimic the front, so you've got a double-sided flower, and that would hold everything in position. But when you come to attach, if you do it that way, when you come to attach your flower to a flat surface, it will stand proud, it will stand forward of your fence, and it won't sit particularly well, which is why I like to do it this way for this type of installation. Okay, so I'm just taking the 260. If you need to lengthen the 260, if you want a bit more 260, you can always add another one in. And then I'm just going to take the ends of the 260, thread them through the mesh, and then bring the end of that 260 forward and just wrap around. And that's going to secure your flower in position. If you're creating this design outdoors, you may want to wrap that 260 around several times. You may even want to use some very strong Dacron line to wrap through the centre. So once you've placed everything, you could wrap some Dacron through and tie on to the fence, just for added security. So just continue to build up your pattern and place your flowers wherever you want them to be. I've created this line of garland. It's clusters of 4, basic garland. If you want to learn how to make that, I'll leave a link in the description to my tutorial on how to create the garland, and I've just tied it on to the frame. Next, I'm using 260s in lime green, which I've not fully inflated. I've left quite a bit here that I can use to tie on, and I've left a tail of perhaps about 3 fingers or so. Okay, so I'm going to tie these 260s, and I'm going to start below the line of the green garland. And then I'm just going to take the tip end and wrap it into the back of the flower. And just continue on up. Once I've gone above the green garland, I like to use the 260s to connect the flowers together, just so you've got a line to follow through the design. If you prefer, you can tie on your 260 to the frame behind the flower. You don't have to wrap it into the flower. Do whatever suits you best and whatever suits your design best. And don't worry if your balloons protrude. This is a 3D sculpture, so if your 260 curls out and comes out from the frame, don't worry, that's all part of the sculpture. I've made a few stretch clusters that I'm just going to add to the base just to give it a bit of an organic look. I've got a pack of these really cute little ladybirds and I'm just going to use glue dots to stick these onto the display. For my bonus pro tip, if you're making your flowers with print balloons, don't use all the balloons in the packet. If you're making this for a client, it's slightly different if you're making it for yourself. But if you're building a display like this for a client, you need to make sure that you have some spares. So whilst it's very tempting, if you've got, 5 of this print or 5 of the polka dot print left, to make another flower using those 5 balloons, I would highly recommend you don't do that, because if when you're setting up you happen to lose one of these balloons, if one of the balloons pops, you've got a spare. You can easily replace a popped balloon. But if you've used up all the print balloons in the bag, then you've nothing to replace it. So that's my bonus pro tip. Keep some spares of all the prints that you use, and when it goes to your clients, if there's a mishap, you've got something that you can use to replace it. So remember to pop the like button, and I'll see you again in the next video.